Roxo Media House.
A Signal 51 is police code for an investigation, a law enforcement proceeding that is a systemic and thorough attempt to learn the facts about a possible crime that is complex and whose facts and circumstances are generally hidden, at least initially, behind obstacles that can be coincidental and or man-made. Investigations methods are formal. I'm John Henry, a journalist. My partner is Jake White, a retired Fort Worth police sergeant. And together we examine the difficult cases of law enforcement, both in Fort Worth and around the region. This is Signal 51. The show is designed specifically for a more mature audience. Some of the content is graphic and is not intended for younger audiences.
Previously on Signal 51 Chronicles.
911?
This is 911. How can I help you?
My mother is in bed and she's not moving.
What's your mom's name?
Nikki Blahitka.
Told you my name's Detective Bates. He's 3023. It's my partner, Detective Cedillo. Hoping somebody has some answers that we don't have. You know, I was asking you specific questions about specific doors earlier because I think that whoever did this might have come through one certain door or another.
Even if I touched all the doors, what is that gonna...
Here's the thing, we both sat at this table, right? Okay? Your DNA's on this table, my DNA's on this table. So if we take a swab of this table, we get what's called a mixture of DNA.
It's just been set up for so many different things, and I've had to trust authorities so many different times, and they've turned and lied to me and screwed me.
Okay, well, would you sign this consent form for me to have your DNA, a sample of your DNA to compare with any evidence I might find?
Sure.
We'll just sign right there, and I'll fill in the rest.
After a short break, and at about 2:29 p.m., a short break in the interview, that is, Detective Pate returns and confronts Josh.
Your story and your stuff doesn't make sense to me. I can tell you that in my mind right now, I believe that you're responsible for this. I believe that something went horribly wrong. I believe that you love that lady. I believe that you had deep feelings for her, but I believe that something went horribly wrong in there. And whatever happened, happened. And those facts that I've been out there proving and I've been working on for 4 days, those are how I got there. Those are the things that have led me to where I am right now, led us to where we are right now. And what I need to know is who you are. I have spent now 3, 4, almost 4.5, maybe 5 hours talking to you on and off on different occasions. I've been looking at your background. I've been doing investigation on you,
yes,
like I have everyone else.
Yes, sir.
And you are not the typical person that I deal with every day. You are not the person, because I deal with murderers. That's what I do, okay? And you're not the typical murderer that I deal with every day. And what I'm trying to figure out is what really happened in there, what really went wrong, and are you really sorry for what happened? You say that you're upset and that you're depressed and disgusted and feel sick, and I believe that you do have some of those feelings. But I also believe that you're not being 100% honest with us. There are certain things that I know that you don't know that I know, okay? You've made mistakes in talking to us. You're a smart guy. You're an intelligent guy. You are above average intelligence. You're a hard worker. You're a successful businessman in some areas of your life. But this area of your life has taken a downward spiral. And you're in a horrible situation right here. And I would like to give you the opportunity to tell me what really happened. What really went on in that house. How Nicole ended up dead. You know the answer to that? And there's no doubt in my mind that you know the answer to that.
How is that?
Well, there's a lot of different ways, okay? But before I start giving you my evidence, if you're just going to tell me, if you're just here to hear my evidence and tell me to pound sand, and you're not,
hey, look, I cooperated.
And you're not interested in telling me the truth and proving to me that you're sorry for what happened, people deserve answers in this, okay? You want me to be 100% blunt honest with you? I don't give a shit about Nicole at all, okay? She made her decisions. She lived 49 years on this life, on this earth, doing her deal. She made her decisions. She chose to throw her family away or not work it out or whatever. I do care about the kids. The kids, 100% honest, breaks my heart, dude. It's unbelievable the way that 12-year-old, the stuff that he's been through in the last 3 days, okay?
I understand.
And he deserves answers. He deserves the truth. And he's the reason. And when I say I don't give a shit about Nicole, I didn't know her, okay? I'm not saying that she deserved any of that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, why have I been working for 3 or 4 days without sleep now? Why have I, what drives me? And it's that 12-year-old boy. And get answers for him and his 17-year-old sister.
Yeah. And my 4-year-old son and all the kids. I agree.
Okay, that's what drives me. All right. So now you know a little bit about who I am. But who are you?
I told you who I was.
Are you going to tell us the truth about what happened in there?
Have I not told you the truth so far?
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You shot Nikki.
You can prove that?
Yeah.
How?
I can prove it.
How can you prove
Without
that?
a doubt. Without a doubt. Your story doesn't even make sense, dude. Who leaves somebody's house, throws their cell phone in the woods, drops their clothes somewhere along the way, and
I didn't drop my clothes. It wasn't
just
intentional.
can't really remember if there was a gun in my bag or if I left it in the glove box. And if it was in the bag, well, it must have fallen out somewhere. And I just really don't remember. You know what? That story is horrible.
We can go find it.
That story is horrible.
I'm not saying it's not horrible. If there's been any recollection or anybody doing their part along the way of me crying out and begging for someone to come help me in the situation of being threatened, I got recordings of all of that.
I don't care about you being threatened, dude. The threats are over. Those are over. That's
How do I
gone.
know that?
I don't know.
I don't know that.
I don't know.
I don't know that this could be just a complete setup, and next thing you know, like, I'm the one that's being blamed for it, and then they're coming after me.
I'm talking about a 2-hour, hour-and-a-half time frame. I'm not talking about everything that led up to this. I'm talking about that's why I'm here. All that other stuff, that's not why I'm here. I'm here because someone was killed. I'm here because someone was killed. That's why I'm here.
I understand.
And I'm here because you killed that person. You killed that person.
Prove that.
I'm going to.
How?
Well, let me just tell you. You were the last one to leave that house. Period. You were the last one to leave that house. Period.
And you know that for a fact?
100% without a doubt, proven beyond a doubt.
There was nobody else there?
Nobody. Nobody else. Nobody. The question is, are you going to tell the truth? Tell me what happened. Tell me what she did. That just flipped out.
The truth.
Did she flip out? Did you flip out? Did you both flip out? Did she try to shoot you? Did she pull a gun on you? Did you protect yourself? Something besides I left and I dropped my clothes, I threw my cell phone away, and my gun might have fallen out somewhere.
I didn't say it might have.
You said you don't know?
I told you the gun.
You said you don't know. I don't even care about that. You've already locked yourself into that story.
That's fine.
That's your story.
That's fine. And I said the same thing today that I did the other day.
But tell me how you got to that point. Tell me what happened in there.
What point?
Where you come home from the Silver Fox after tabbing out at 9:29, and you leave her house at 11:09, and she's dead, and nobody else comes or goes. Nobody. Not one person. Nothing. That house has a brain. Okay? That house has a brain. That house records everything. There is no doubt. End of story. The question is, how did it happen? It doesn't record everything that happens inside. I don't know the answers to how you shot her, why you shot her, what she did to make you shoot her. I don't know any of that. What I do know is that you're the last one to leave there.
But you don't know that I shot her.
You're the last one to leave there,
and that means
dead.
what?
And she's dead.
How do you know someone else wasn't there?
No one else was there.
How do you know that?
Because I know when a door opens, I know when a door closes in that house.
How do you know that?
I know.
How?
It's right here. It's all printed out on the alarm code. Every time an exterior door opens, there's a timestamp. It's dated. Every time it closes, it's timed.
So then who came in and found her?
And that's all I'm telling you. I'll tell you who found her. The maid found her the next morning.
Who came in with the maid?
The maid. By herself. Period. The maid comes twice a week. The maid ain't killing her. The maid goes to your house and cleans your house.
Hasn't been there in months.
Well, she's been there, okay? She's been there before. You're the last one to leave. You say she's alive. That is not true. She's dead. When the next door opens, she's dead. And the doors don't open. The windows don't open. Nobody comes or goes. Nobody does anything. The maid calls, she's dead. We get out there. I spend 15 hours in the house. There's nobody else, man. It's you. It's you. And you are either
supposed to be me. It's going to be me either way.
You are either a cold-blooded murderer who doesn't care about the families that have been wrecked and left behind. You're either that guy, or you're a guy who got caught up in a horrible situation by a conniving, no good for nothing, spoiled ass bitch. I don't know which one you are. I don't know. You know. And it's your choice. Whether you're going to tell the truth about what happened, or you're just going to sit there. Because I'm done giving. I'm done giving.
I've given you everything, man.
No, you haven't given me the truth. That's the only reason I come in this room, is to get the truth. I don't have the truth.
What's up with the light? Electrical issues.
I don't know. Go flip the breaker.
I don't know.
Why don't you go flip the breaker?
Where's it at? Do you want me to?
No, I don't.
Is that what I was told to do?
No, it wasn't. I ain't talking about the light, man.
I'm just saying
Focus
I am
on what I'm
focusing. There's
talking
situations like that right there that I could be blamed for.
No, you're not being blamed for the light flickering.
Okay.
You're being blamed for killing Nicole. That's what you're being blamed for, because you killed her. That's the truth. That's what the evidence shows. That's what 3.5 days of staying up and grinding and working shows. It all points to you. And you know what? I've been sitting here now for 15, 20 minutes telling you that you did it. You hadn't denied it one fucking time. Not one fucking time.
Denied it?
Yeah, you not one
what
time.
What am I supposed to say? I didn't kill her?
Tell the truth. If someone told me I killed someone, you're damn right.
Suspect.
You're damn
said,
right.
No, I wasn't suspect.
No, that's not what I said. I said everyone is a suspect. I said everyone. Don't change my words.
I was asking. It was kind of like the situation where
I said everyone is a suspect. You haven't. If someone told me I killed someone,
I asked you if you were accusing me
I would have told him.
If you were accusing me, I'd sit here and tell you no.
I'm telling you right now, I'm accusing you. I've told you. I've been telling you for 15, 20 minutes. Of course you're going to say no. Now I gave you the answer.
No, it has nothing. You still haven't given me no answer.
Yeah, I did.
Because the door opened?
No, because no other doors did open. See, you think you're smart, man.
I'm not trying to think anything.
You came in here with a plan.
I didn't come here with no plan. I came in here to talk to you guys. Why would I voluntarily come here and talk to you guys?
I don't know.
I wasn't trying to figure it out, too.
I guess because you thought you could get away with it.
Get away with it?
Yeah, I think that's what you think.
Almost 20 minutes after being confronted, Josh broke down and confessed.
Let's just get through this. Get you out of here, all right? So, she's standing between the bed and the dresser. You're standing near the corner of the bed. And she has been reaching in the cabinet or under the bed. You thought she was getting something.
Yeah.
She threw her hands up at you. And then what happened?
I shot.
How many times did you shoot?
Twice.
You shot twice. What? Did she fall on the floor?
She fell in bed.
Was she, can you describe how she fell on the bed?
I don't know, it was dark.
Do you remember what you did after that?
After that, I shot her in the arm. She fell on the bed. And she turned screaming. Pretty much it was gonna die. So I shot again.
He mentioned also that people were following him after he left the house as well, which another indication his story just gets stranger and stranger. He also mentions that on the 29th, the ex-husband, Mark, had texted his ex-wife because he wanted to, quote, smoke crack and wanted to get together with her. Now, to me, that sounds like he just trying to divert and create perhaps another person of interest for police to get on the heels of. Josh also said that Nikki gave him some green pills, which he threw on top of the cubby. I'm always fascinated by the direct confrontations that you see in Hollywood and that we've seen in real life, such as this. Elaborate on the direct confrontations, that tactic in police interrogations.
Yeah, sure. So let me start by saying this. Personal opinion, textbook interrogation, step by step. When you know or have an idea, when you've been trained and you know the steps that, are to follow, this one, like I said, textbook. I don't know that it got the job done. But in regards to the direct confrontation, that's something that came up in Detective Pate's case notes, and that's a term that I'm familiar with. If Detective Pate is referencing in his case notes that popular interrogation strategy, it's simply a particular step in an interrogation. I don't want to get too far off into the weeds on specific tactics, but this is basically a step where there's a presentation of fact or a reference to evidence, real or fictional. The suspect's told that he's involved in the crime, and after these statements, the investigator will observe the suspect reactions. After the direct confrontation, you can see Josh's demeanor change. You can see that his whole story is starting to unravel and that his back's against the wall. And in large part, that's because of the hard work, obviously, that from the detectives. It's obviously part of this, the interrogation strategy that they used worked. So Josh told Detective Pate the truth. And Josh's version of the truth was that after they had sex and after he went outside to smoke, he came back inside and he said the power was going on and off. Nikki told Josh to flip the breakers, so he did. For some reason, presumably over the cigarette or possibly Josh leaving, the story changed a few times. Nikki grew angry with Josh, so he made the choice to leave. Hence the brown paper bag by the door. Hence this whole story he's been telling about how volatile the relationship is.
Now, during that interview, he also mentions two things that I found interesting. One was while he was out smoking, he let slip that when he went to discard his cigarette butt, he found a soda can with other cigarettes that were not his. Mm-hmm. He also said that Nikki did not smoke, and he indicated that this at the very least annoyed him or made him suspicious. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that was during that part. That's where he was trying to convey this idea that he doesn't know if anyone else was inside the room. He still couldn't wrap his mind around the fact that he forgot about the sensors. The door sensors are ultimately what led to his apprehension. And so he constantly tried to portray this idea that somebody could have been hiding in the house, that there could be, clearly, hey, there's cigarette butts over here. Nikki doesn't smoke, so it's got to be. I think he even specifically says it's another dude. Mm-hmm. He has no idea.
I think he did say that.
Yeah. So I think, again, that was just another failed attempt on his part to divert attention, which ultimately didn't work.
And he said that she's the one who actually pulled out the weapon.
Yeah.
He wrestled it from her and shot her. He also said that when he got the gun, she went to a drawer as if to pull something else out, and that he had no choice.
Yes.
But to kill her.
Yes.
Or to shoot her.
Yes, because the threats continued.
Yes.
He would constantly bring up threats to his life, to his family, to his kids. Fact, fiction, I don't know. None of us will know. We'll never know. So I don't know if that happened, but that was, again, I think another strategy on his part to divert the attention.
Josh also said he changed his clothes and left using the mudroom door, as you said. When Josh left, he took the firearm, the clothes he was wearing, when he admitted to shooting Nikki, and the 2 cell phones. Josh told detectives he discarded the items on his walk home. Specifically, he stated he discarded evidence in the small pond in a wooded area behind Nikki's house, and also into the Trinity River, which runs behind her house.
Near the Trinity River, and where Josh said the item would be, they found his pants and belt. Now, these are the same pants and belt that he references several times in the second interview, where he had mentioned that the belt was wrapped around the pants. They found those along the trail. There's a pond behind Nikki's house where he stated that he threw 2 cell phones that he had, an iPhone and I don't remember the other brand. He threw those cell phones in the water. And then I believe 2 different places along the banks of the Trinity River are locations where he said he threw both .40 caliber Glock pistols. Several days after Josh took detectives to these locations, detectives with assistance from a dive team searched the water, but they didn't find any of these cell phones. But going back, so after they take Josh to West Fort Worth to look for these discarded items, again, we're looking for the firearm. At the time, I believe they just knew of one .40 caliber firearm, the cell phones. The cell phones always have pertinent information. And the clothes. They bring him back to the homicide office for a 3rd interview. Now, keep in mind, these are consensual interviews. And in fact, Detective Pate repeatedly told Josh, at least in the second interview, I don't recall the first one, but at least in the second interview, multiple times that he was there under his own free will. He could leave at any time. He wasn't being forced to talk to the detectives. But he agreed to go back for interview number 3.
And he gives them maybe a preview of what defense he might be wanting to put on. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's a fair statement. I think that it changed. His story changed yet again. Not significantly, but there were some facts that were different.
So at what point does the gun come out?
When we made it back to her room.
Okay, why does the gun come out?
When she started pushing me and throwing stuff at me, and then she ran to the closet, and then she had her hands in her pockets. And all of a sudden, I was like, look, like, I don't, enough is enough. Like, stop. Like, I'm leaving. I'll get out of here. But let this be the last time. We don't ever have to see each other again.
Right.
And then the threat started with the family, and the threat started with this and that, and it just got...
And so you had that gun with you. You'd had it all day. That's the one that you talked about being maybe that you put in your glove box, that in the glove box when she picked you up. A Glock 40?
Yeah. Well, the 45 was in the glove box.
Okay. Where is that one? We don't know where that one is.
That's the one I don't know where it's at.
Okay.
I thought it was in my bag.
Where did you have the Glock 40? Like, were you carrying it all day?
No, it was just in her car.
Okay. You just kept that one in her car,
Yeah,
so you had
both of those were in her car. There was 3 total.
2 40s.
2 40s and 1 45.
And 145. And so y'all are inside, and you pull the gun out because she's making threats.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me what she does that makes you take action. Besides the threats, I want to see, like, I want you to act like this is the edge of the bed. That wall is the edge of the bed, okay?
Uh-huh.
This is her counter, okay?
Like walking into the room?
Chest of drawers, yeah. You're walking in this way. This is the chest of drawers. That's the back wall. And you're standing, like, over here at the corner of the bed, and show me her actions.
So in his third interview, the other thing that changed was his demeanor. The second one, as we heard, he's very emotional. He cries throughout the interview for long periods of time, uncontrollably crying. Not on the third one. On the third one, he's cooler than the other side of the pillow. He walks him through step by step his version of the story. What he says that's different, he stays to the story. They get home from the restaurant. They have sex. He goes outside. He smokes a cigarette. He comes back inside. And when he comes back inside, there's an issue with the power causing the lights to go off. So he and Nikki go to the garage to flip the breakers. He stated that he had flipped all the breakers on and off. And after doing so, they go back inside the house where she continues to yell at him. And at some point, upon entering the house from the garage, she makes some kind of threat about his time left with his family, is what he implies. So she continues to yell at him, or the argument continues, and they go back to Nikki's bedroom. When they get back to the bedroom, he told her that he wanted to leave, and she continued to threaten him and his family. At some point, he stated that she had run to the closet, but she had kept her hand in the pocket of her robe or whatever clothing article that she was wearing, and she stated that she would, quote, take care of him, end quote, herself. Not exactly clear, Josh stated that Nikki knew he had a gun on him, and he had told her to quit threatening him. He went back to this theme of wanting to know the truth, and it seemed like what he was suggesting was he was concerned about his safety. He was concerned about either Nikki or an acquaintance or somebody doing some kind of harm to him, and he just wanted to know the truth about that. If something was going to happen to him, then tell me something's going to happen to me. And at one point, he even kind of throws his hands up in the air, just in the classic I give up posture. While they're in the bedroom, they continue to argue, and Josh turns to leave. And when he turns to leave the bedroom, he tells detectives that he hears a click. He doesn't say the click sounds like a gun. He doesn't really describe the click other than calling it just that, a click. But that click caused him to pull the pistol that he had, the .40 caliber Glock. It was either in his pocket or in his waistband, out. When he pulls it out, he holds it in his hand. Nikki charged at him, and either she knocked him back or he knocked her back, which kind of created a little space. At some point, Nikki ran to the dresser by the bed and grabbed something. After grabbing whatever the unknown object was, Josh stated he heard something hit the bed, the side of the bed. He didn't say what it was, didn't describe the noise, didn't describe any object in her hand, just heard something hit the bed. He pointed the gun at her, and she charged him again, and this time he shot her, and he said that he shot her in the shoulder. After he shot her in the shoulder, Nikki collapsed, falling halfway onto the side of the bed, and he later recreates the scene with Detective Pate. As Nikki's laying on her side and after being shot, Josh stated that Nikki had raised up and told Josh that he was going to die. Josh also described a motion that Nikki had made, which resulted in him firing the second shot. After firing the second shot, Nikki fully collapsed on the bed. I don't know if Josh realized Nikki was deceased or in critical condition. At one point, he told Detective Pate that while after shooting Nikki twice, he looked on the ground. He saw a spent shell casing. He collected that. He briefly scanned the room for a second one, didn't find anything, and left through the garage door out of the back of the house. He took an odd path when leaving Nikki's house. One thing that I think is important for the listeners is to watch this interview. It will be the third interview on our website. What you will see is Josh's demeanor change. You will also see him recreate the event step by step. In fact, I believe they even reverse roles with Detective Pate. He describes how far he was when he shot. He describes how Nikki was lying in bed after she was shot. Just a complete demeanor change. Much more calm in this one. The significant difference in this interview and the third interview from the second interview was he had the gun on him. And we'd also mentioned that he threw 2 Glock 40 caliber pistols in the water. He stated that at some point after the restaurant, he put both Glock pistols in the bag in the mudroom, and also the 45 caliber pistol that he referenced several times. Prior to him leaving, he said he put both pistols in his waistband because he figured having 3 guns plus his clothing articles plus his mail in a paper bag, it would be too heavy and cause the bag to rip. Therefore, he put both the Glock pistols in his waistband and then left.
Gotcha. Let me ask you something right quick, interject something right quick. The demeanor changed. From your seasoned perspective watching that, did he have more credibility in this interview? Did it seem like this was the legitimate story he was giving versus the previous interviews, or what?
Oh, I think so. And I think to highlight that, they proved at least partially one of the things that he said. He said he threw his pants and
they found him.
They found his pants in his belt. He was calm. He goes through step by step with them. He didn't do that in the second interview. Now, I think the second interview, he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. He was faced with the decision of admitting to shooting another person, presumably causing the death of another person. So he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. That was gone. The third interview, that was gone. That he had already admitted to it. He had already taken detectives around. So his demeanor was significantly different. Do I think it leads more credibility? It's hard to say that he had more credibility or less credibility. I think ultimately that's going to be proven in court. But again, with them corroborating one of his statements.
Sure seems like he was telling.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that there was no reason for me to doubt anything that he was saying in that third interview.
Right.
Based on his confession, based on the evidence that they had uncovered, based on the totality of the circumstances, the story as a whole, they then believed they had enough probable cause to secure an arrest warrant for Josh, and that's exactly what they did.
So police issue an arrest warrant for Josh Henry and placed him under arrest for the murder of Nikki Blahitka. After Josh was charged, he goes on television and does an interview from the Tarrant County Jail. And in the interview, Josh changes his story, reneging on his confession.
He did. So those jailhouse interviews, whether it comes from an arrested person or from an informant, I'm often skeptical of them. And the reason why is there's motivation. There's motivation for a person to talk about a crime when they're incarcerated with the hopes that they can reduce their sentence or something to that effect. This case, I think Josh clearly had a few days to realize that he told on himself and that he's going to face the consequences for the death of Nicole Blahitka. And I think this was a last-ditch effort on his part to convince people to the contrary that he killed Nicole Blahitka. In the jailhouse interviews, one thing I thought, he never really offered a true alibi. Josh told reporters that he met Nikki several years prior when he was doing carpentry work at her house. They became friends with Nikki and her ex-husband. He lost touch with them. Several years later, Nikki starts construction on the home on Middlewood, and again enters the picture as Josh. Josh stated in the news interview, one of the news interviews I saw, that he was there just to put finishing touches on the home. It was then the relationship started with he and Nikki. The one thing I found interesting was Josh, in the interviews with the news outlets, he provided information or details that he never told detectives. I don't know that any of them were jaw-dropping. I don't know that any of them were of much significance on what he told the news versus what he didn't tell detectives. But again, you would think that if you're being confronted by a homicide detective about taking someone else's life, you're probably going to give them every single fact you know and then some if you know you had nothing to do with it. Not hold facts, seemingly what he did, and the difference between his interview with the news and then also with Detective Pate.
Probably another moral of this story is, if you're a defendant, don't show up without an attorney. Take them up. Take the police up on those Miranda offers to call an attorney. Do not say anything.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a defense attorney in the world that would recommend, yeah, just go talk to the cops, dude. I'm sure you can square it away, man. Like, yeah, just talk to them. Everything will be fine. That's probably not the advice of any decent defense attorney, at least, I would hope. So, yeah, that probably, we would have never had this story to tell, though, had that been the case. On February 17th, Grand Prairie Police were called to a home in the 400 block of East Cober. The 911 caller stated a person was at the home destroying property. While this is a common call for police to respond to, I doubt they knew they were responding to a home of a person who recently bonded out for murder. When the first officer arrived and confronted Josh, Josh became, quote, belligerent, end quote. At some point, what was described by police as a, quote, significant physical altercation, end quote, ensued. The altercation was so extreme, the responding officer feared for his or her life and shot Josh Henry in the stomach. Josh Henry succumbed to this gunshot wound and died. In the end, there may never be full closure for Nikki's family or for Josh's family. However, the theme that prevailed in this entire case was an issue of domestic violence. At the close of 2020, the most recent stats we could find, 17 women in Tarrant County were murdered related to domestic violence. Our hope for this show is to help. John and I have spent our entire adult lives serving the public, whether it be from the tip of a pen or protecting the streets late at night. This is the type of story we don't want to tell. This is the type of story where there are resources to get help. In life, we sometimes need that person to take the courageous step for us. If you, your family, your friend has found themselves in a violent or abusive relationship, don't stand on the sidelines and hope that things will get better. There were 13 times in 2016 where things did not get better, and 17 times in 2020 where things did not get better. Bottom line, you can't just stand by while someone is in a time of crisis. You have to act, and you have to act now. If you don't know where to turn, reach out to us. We will do everything in our power to connect you or your loved one with the resources they may need. This has been another episode of Signal 51 Chronicles, brought to you by Roxo Media House.